You ready?
I'm ready.
I'm talking with Matt Wilson. Just a face and a name everyone's familiar with, thanks to Dan Jones and the Backstage Pass series. It's 2018 and there's no more Dan Jones as part of your team. Does it feel different?
It does. I'm used to having him, not just having the camera in your face, it's just his personality that he's already made a bit of a difference. You know, he lights up any room that he walks into, and was always a happy face and someone who's not really from cycling. He's always coming at things from a different angle. So having him in the room was always sort of, a big icebreaker.
Yeah. I just bumped into you in the foyer of the race headquarters at the Tour Down Under and said, let's have a chat. You said, what are we going to talk about? I said, I don't know. So we've known each other a long time.
Yeah.
I knew you pre-Hodgkin's disease. And when you rode it, we always laugh about it, a chocolate-coloured Cannondale, along with Cadell Evans in the Tour of Tasmania one year. And you've been involved with cycling ever since.
Yeah.
Still loving it?
Still loving it, yeah. Maybe more than ever. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Obviously very different now, being on the other side of the fence from riding a bike, but find it a lot less stressful in a way. As soon as you've got there's a lot of pressure goes with cycling, obviously, and the older you get, the harder it becomes to do your job. It sort of, it weighs on you. It's quite stressful, but I find it, the other side of the fence, helping young guys and working towards big goals. And as long as you're working hard and diligently, then you can get the job done and find it, fantastic actually.
Yeah. I think we probably met at a Tour Down Under when you were part of a United Water or a Uni SA team or something like that. Mm-hmm. And you were, the concepts of pro cycling were like this sort of big distant dream, and you've sort of gone through, lived it all, done it all, been Australian champion, ridden the Tour de France, been part of a big team. And now you're DS. Did you sort of see that cycle happening when, before you signed your first contract?
Not at all. Couldn't see as far as the contract. You just got that single-minded goal to turn professional, and then you turn professional and everything sort of reassesses. And I actually never thought I would have a career in cycling past my actual cycling career. And it wasn't until the last sort of couple of years that it started to head that way, and I started to say, well, actually, maybe, I have got a career in the sport afterwards, and that this role just sort of materialised in those last couple of years.
Yeah. I guess probably your big television moment was when Matty Hayman won Paris-Roubaix and you were behind the wheel and calling the shots. Is that the career highlight?
It's one of them, yeah. Definitely behind the wheel, it is. I actually had a friend of mine post something the other day about the backstage pass when Matt Hayman won, and just I just clicked on it, hadn't seen it for a long time, and watched it again and got goosebumps and a bit teary. It's a pretty amazing moment, yeah. But you know what, I think I would have been like that if I wasn't behind the wheel, just watching it, just knowing the story and how it went. It's a pretty special day.
You had to deal with quite a few things that day beyond just the win, Mitch Docker's accident in particular. How do you, when you look back on it, do you remember Mitch in the Forest of Arenberg, or do you, are there sequences that you replay? How does cycling re-emerge in your memory?
Paris-Roubaix is a funny one because it's so hectic. It's just so crazy. You see how crazy it is in the race. It's worse in the car. It honestly is. In the race, you sort of have some sort of control in the car. It is just noise. It is issues. You're trying to race up, change wheels. Someone's got a problem. You can't really follow what's going on. There's dust everywhere. It's riders hitting the car sometimes. It's really chaotic. And Mitch, I didn't see him crash. We went past. The mechanic jumped down. It wasn't until he jumped in the car and said, "There's a lot of blood. He's pretty bad." I went, "Oh." But then, it's part of cycling. You just straight away just switch into what the next problem is and just start trying to solve that. So it was really just a series, like it always is in Paris-Roubaix, just a series of problems that unfold, and then it became an opportunity.
DS or rider, what would you prefer now that you've had a chance of doing both in the pro peloton?
Rider, when everything's going good, is preferable, but you got to ride the lows with the highs, and I think being a director's got a lot more longevity in it. the ups and downs of being a rider takes its toll. So yeah, it's a hard question to answer. Yeah, I don't think you'd enjoy one without the other.
Yeah.
Being a director without the pro cycling career, you'd always probably feel like something was missing. So yeah.
Yeah.
Know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%. It's a strange old world. Cycling is one of those things that just keeps luring people back in. When you retired, you were pretty much ready to walk away, and then you just got an offer. Is that right?
No, I was with Garmin at the time, and GreenEdge was starting up, and we had a meeting actually at Tour Down Under with Shane and Neil Stevens and Matt White about the potential to come to GreenEdge the next year, and it was my dream to be an Australian team, so I said immediately yes, and then it came up. We hadn't signed contracts obviously then, it was just a verbal thing, but then as the year unfolded, they started to say, well, would you prefer to be a director or a rider? Because they needed a director. And I said, look, I really want to be a rider, and I think I can do more for GreenEdge as a rider for a year than as a coming directly in as a director. So I ended up signing a contract for 1 year as a rider and 2 years as a director. So I knew the last year of my career that was coming. Yeah. I made the decision a year before. Yeah.
We haven't got long. You've got to go and do a team meeting, a briefing before the first race of the World Tour. But I just wonder if we can just conclude this little chat with just a little appraisal of the influence of Jerry Ryan. You've been a big part of his family, so to speak, his extended family. What would cycling in Australia be without his support? You've been sponsored by him since way back when. So
yeah. Look, I mean, I don't think there's a person in Australian cycling who's gone through it for a significant amount of time that hasn't been touched by what he's been able to give the sport in this country. Me especially. I mean, I'm a Victorian. I come through the Victorian Institute of Sport. He was always a big supporter there. Basically every step of my career, there's been some ongoing touch point with Jerry Ryan, his commitment to the sport. So, what can you say?
Watch this space, I guess, because he's trying to win the Tour de France this year. Do you think he's going to do it?
That's right. Maybe not this year, but I definitely hope so in the future.
Is it going to be a Yates or a Chavez or someone who we don't know yet?
Who knows? If you don't, tell me.
I wish you all the best for the season. Thanks for having a quick chat, and it's always a pleasure to catch up.
Thanks, Rob. Thanks, mate.